Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Jody from Reflective Waves and welcome to my yoga review. I wanted to take some time this week to talk about flexibility, not only flexibility of the body, but flexibility of the mind, of our thoughts, how we approach new situations. And of course, when things come up, as they always do, are we flexible enough to handle them in a way that continues to keep us in balance without taking us way out of balance? Flexibility and yoga definitely go hand in hand, so I thought this would be a really nice practice to talk about on this review. So my keyword search was yoga, 10 minutes, and then I started looking through all the different ones they had to offer, and I found a 10-minute yoga full body stretch by Yoga with Tim. I was really excited for this practice because 10 minutes to get a full body stretch would be really beneficial for those of us who are caregivers and are constantly on the move and giving of ourselves. So I wanted to see how this practice would do with my clients, those of you who are looking for something that's quick, easy, and available and accessible to you and your body and your situation, especially when we only sometimes get a few minutes to rest and recover before we're on to the next thing or giving of ourselves in service. So let's talk a little bit about flexibility before we jump right into it. So when I say flexibility, I'm talking a two-prong approach. One is the body, right? So if you've ever seen kids play and have fun, they will go ahead and put their body in all sorts of different postures and positions as they're playing and experimenting and just running around enjoying themselves. And for them, that's natural. Their bodies are growing, their tendons, their joints, their muscles, everything is developing, right? So they are getting this beautiful dose of movement, which is actually helping them to stay more limber. So as we become adults, we stop playing. And at some point, our bodies just kind of get into this routine, this regimen of we're going to brush our teeth this way, we're going to put on our clothes this way, and this is how we're going to move throughout our day, exactly the same every single day, which puts our body into this rut, right? This position that we stay in and we don't really adjust from there. Therefore, things like stiffness, soreness, these kinds of things kind of pop up in the body. And we start to notice them more as we get older. So yoga offers us a nice avenue to continue to stretch and move the body in a playful and lighthearted way while listening to our body. So this is an intermediate practice that I'm going to be talking about and reviewing today, which means that it isn't for somebody just joining kind of the yoga modalities. It's really for somebody who has a basic practice underneath their belt already, and that is for safety's sake. So when we move through postures that we don't typically do, we're not like the 6 and 7-year-olds of your life that can just bend and flex and move and go, oh, that was interesting. For us, it can have actual damaging effects that happen to our body, right? We could really hurt ourselves if we're not listening to our body and experiencing these postures in a way that is taking into account how we're feeling. That being said, I've been practicing yoga for years and I don't do these exact postures every time I approach the mat. So for me, I was a little confused and I had to open up flexibility in my body and then flexibility of my mind, right? To approach this practice with this idea that I was going to be flexible in my thinking, that new things were going to come up all the time as I learn and grow as a person, as a practitioner, as a teacher. And it's so important that we constantly stay in this idea of curiosity. I've had a habit of this is the way you do it, this is the way this should be done. And I think a lot of teachers and people kind of get in that rut, right? Of this is what we do and this is how we do it. I think when we branch out into these new practices with these new teachers and experiences, we get to revisit this space of being a younger version of yourself who's just curious. What does this feel like? What is this movement? And it can be really a fun experience to try things that push us just a bit out of our comfort zone, while at the same time maintaining the integrity to listen to our body and know when something's just not going to work for us, and then modifying that to make sense for ourselves. Why don't we go ahead and jump over and get started?
I'm Tim, and today's class is a full body stretch class. We're going to use some dynamic mobilizations and then hold deep stretches after. You may find that this technique helps you to find some more range of motion and helps the nervous system to be able to allow the body to relax deeper into the stretch. We're going to start with a breath technique to help us really ground and calm. And this, in addition, will help to improve range of motion. So find a comfortable seat, and you won't need any props unless you like to have a block or a strap. You might want to have that handy. From your comfortable seat, with your eyes closed, we're going to practice a breath technique where we exhale through the mouth to help us ground and calm more effectively. And then we'll transition into nose breathing.
So this was awesome. I loved this introduction. We are going to approach this without blocks or strap, but you can go ahead and grab them if you need them. I love that we're starting with a pranayama or a breath technique that really helps to work through the nervous system, calm the nervous system, and get us in the right frame of mind for having this experience on the mat with this practice. So that was really lovely. And I was excited to see it in a 10-minute practice because that means it's very accessible and attainable.
The first stretch we're going to do is called the world's greatest stretch. We go from a twist to hamstring stretch. So from a lunge position, reach up with your right arm and twist. Inhale. Then as you exhale, stretch your right leg towards straight. You can use blocks if it's not available. Rebend your knee and twist. If you find this too difficult, I'm going to put a link to a beginner's variation of this same sequence. As you exhale, stretch back.
Okay, this was challenging for our boom right off the bat stretch. I love how he invited us to use blocks. I 1000% would say the same thing, especially just starting cold like I was. You can see that my range of motion actually gets better as we practice. And that was one thing that he did mention multiple times is as we're flowing and moving through this, you're going to start to find that flexibility and that length starting to happen.
Oh, it feels great. Now as you exhale, roll your chin towards your chest and roll yourself down. Inhale, roll back up.
This felt amazing. For my clients, I would say just place a couple blocks right at your feet. I felt better letting go of my head because I'm going to listen to my cervical spine, which is the back of the neck, and just really be mindful. You can see I'm taking a dynamic rock here. I'm kind of moving. So during slow practices like this, where we're not doing a ton of movement all at once, it can be difficult to let the mind focus on the present moment. So what I tend to encourage my clients to do is find some dynamic movement, such as rocking from left to right or just releasing through the jaw. And that kind of helps to allow for us to come back into the present moment.
Find downward facing dog. From your downward dog, now roll into upward facing dog. You can drop the knees as a modification, or you can keep the legs straight. Stretch back, downward facing dog.
So I love how he has so many modifications in here. He prompts them all, which makes me feel really good suggesting this to my clients. Anybody from any yoga background could attempt to practice this practice and be safe doing it. I don't know where my brain was for this one. I think I was just practicing what I'm used to practicing, which is just going through like a chaturanga or a knees, chest, chin, and then pushing back into an upward facing dog. I don't know. Anyway, I messed all this up, but that's okay. That's fine. We'll just keep moving on to the next one.
Pull your chest and shoulders open. Take your feet shoulder distance apart, toes slightly turned out. Lift your heart. And as you exhale, fold forward. Then drop your hips into your deepest squat that you can. Take your arms forward or maybe up if you're all the way down into the squat. Fold forward, clasp your hands behind your back and stretch. Drop back into your squat and stretch your arms.
I believe in the healing properties of Malasana squat so much. My clients would have a very, very difficult time with this. Some of them would be okay with the movement, some of them not. I personally really enjoyed it. I love this little flow sequence. I think it was really helpful and nicely done. We actually ended the practice in an option to come into Shavasana or stay in Malasana squat and just practice that posture for a while, which I thought was a really unique ending. If you think ending in a posture that you're going to practice for a few moments is a good way to end a practice, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I think it's a really unique approach, and maybe it's something that I've been missing out on. So let me know down in the comments what you think about that, and if that's something that you would enjoy personally. I would love to see more from Yoga with Tim. I think that he is pulling from a very deep well in understanding of the body and how the breath and the body and stretching and movement all really goes together. After I do a bit more research on the beginner-friendly practices, I believe they will be a really nice fit for my clients and those who are looking to have a better understanding of their body and finding stretching and mobility inside a shorter practice that is more attainable for them and their schedule. I look forward to seeing more from this teacher. If you enjoyed this review, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. I upload different reviews on different practices, so feel free to share any practices that you might be interested in or want to get some feedback on. Again, my modalities are from a gentle, restorative, and recovery space. That's where I mostly practice and what my clients look for when they are practicing from me. So anything in that realm is absolutely on the table, but of course, if you have something else you want me to review, I love to check that out, and I'm always growing as a teacher and an individual, so feel free to share down in the comments below. I want to say thank you so much for watching and have a warm and wonderful rest of your day.